Hey everyone, it's me, Blue Rhapsody. I'm back again, but this time as the Lord of Castlevania. So before I plunge humanity into thousands of years of darkness, I might as well recant the games I've been playing this last year on this comfy chair. Let's get into it. I know I said I'd cover Dawn Trail, but fuck that. I have no interest in Wook-Lamit's national vacation bullshit. No thanks. Yeah. Say what you want. Even as the Lord of Castlevania, I sometimes fall for gotcha slop. It happens to the best of us. Though, this one's a bit different. It has Mate Kane Fuku Kitaru. It's pretty much your standard gacha game affair. Grind for that dollar and spend it on one of the horse girls. For what it's worth, the actual gameplay loop of Uma blows most of the other gacha games I've played out of the water, which consists of training whatever character you chose for their career and hitting certain milestones in order to continue. When you complete a career, you get Uma to use to increase the starting stats of whatever character you choose for your next run. It's a really autistic mix between the Chow Garden and Pokemon training. For some reason, it really works for me. I get a lot of enjoyment out of making super mutant freaks to then use them to make other super duper mutant freaks, but it gets old fast. Especially because you're doing the same repetitive stuff hoping for RNG to give you what you want. I still occasionally open the game, and I guess I recommend it. I'm just going to start off and say Amnesia the Bunker is probably the scariest game I've ever played. There are so many times I would just alt F4 the game because it was more favorable than the suspense of whether or not the beast was going to grab me. Like usual, I'm late to the party in most things. I didn't even know the game existed until it was on the Steam October sale of last year. Immediately, this game stuck out to me because for whatever reason, I really enjoy the World War I time period.
Yeah, let me get in a whip for that mustard gas, boy!
And I'm familiar with the studio Frictional Games, having played the first two Amnesia games and Soma. One of the things I loved about the first Amnesia game was how open it was to player experimentation. It really felt like there was infinite possibilities due to the amount of freedom you had to interact with the environment around you. Even if that wasn't actually the case, what sets this game apart from The Dark Descent is how it fully embraces that design notion. Things aren't scripted, and puzzles are totally free to solve them as you please. My favorite thing to do in the game is to cram a bunch of fucking garbage down the holes to prevent the beasts from attacking, sort of. Comparatively to other games by Frictional, which are more narrative-based, this game is constructed like a randomized puzzle box, meaning that every run is unique in how you choose to play it with the resources available. Because of that, this game is infinitely replayable. If this game looks interesting at all, I highly recommend it. I've written a slam poem to describe my feelings about Rebirth. Amnesia. Which one will please ya? Not this one, because it's pretty boring. Thanks. What am I going to say that no one hasn't said before about David Cage games? They are basically movies that you can sometimes interact with. Beyond Two Souls is Pulp Fiction, but retarded. The whole out of chronology shit doesn't really make sense to have in this game if you want choices to matter. Why should I care if Cole or anyone survives, especially Jodie, when I know she's gonna be fine in the stupid ass Navajo episode that happens way later? Outside of that, I'm still left with questions, like, when's Beyond Three Souls? Why did Aiden heal Jodie's pussy that one time? Aren't they siblings? Where's Spider-Man?
You see, Spider-Man, you never know when some maniac is gonna give you the hero's choice. Let die the woman you love, or suffer the children.
Oddly enough, this game is online co-op through Steam, where one person is Jodie and the other's Aiden. It doesn't really change anything, but it's fun to play with friends. Outside of that, I don't recommend this game unless it's free. Otherwise, watch a Let's Play, my
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Is that someone approaching my castle?
Hello everyone. It's my sworn duty to kill that rants-playing piece of shit Bloo according to this napkin that I found at Raising Cane's the other day. While I'm on my way there, I thought I'd talk about some of the slop I played this year. Unfortunately, literally nothing good came out this year, but according to this napkin from earlier, I have to talk about at least a couple of games from this year, so I'm enacting a lightning round. First off, we have Sonic Racing Cross-Dressing.
Wanna go get hamburger?
No, little buddy. How about a chili dog?
Sonic is back yet again, and this time in kart form. This game is okay. To be honest, this game should have been like $30. Unfortunately, those shit fucks down the street decided we can charge the equivalent of the United States aid to Israel for video games. So renowned good decision makers Sega decided, yeah, make it 60 for some reason. With the state this game released in, it's quite content barren. It's insane how much Sega can't beat a racing game that they made in 2013. But fucking here we are, I guess. Transform is the superior game, just play that. Is it better than the new Mario Kart? Yes. Have I played the new Mario Kart? No. Is it better than Garfield Kart 2? No. Is it better than Eminem's Racing for the Wii? Are you out of your goddamn fucking mind? Some might say it's actually pretty fun with mods. But that's like saying, yeah, my 3-year-old nephew's birthday party is tolerable if I do lines in the bathroom. Next game. Yakuza, Pirate in... No, I'm not reading out the fucking title, I don't fucking care. The Yakuza franchise is so fucking over. We're like Wash Dragon. This game is one of the most boring games I have ever played in this franchise. I played 6 for Christ's sakes. This game tries its hardest to do its own thing, but most of it comes off as, wow, Majima, she's so crazy. Combat is fun, but who cares, because it's just repetitive. RGG only knows how to make one game, and I'm fucking tired of that game. I haven't genuinely enjoyed an RGG game since 7. This franchise is hitting levels of fatigue and stagnation that the COD series would be fucking embarrassed of. I look forward to nothing in this franchise that I once loved, and I wish it was dead. Jeffrey Epstein, I need you to distract Kang rivals. I know this technically started in December of 2024, but fuck you, stop being pedantic. This game's fun, but it makes me mad. It's the most time I've put into a multiplayer game since like I was 13 and I played TF2, so you know, like a fucking decade ago. You play as your favorite Marvel characters and like defend points or escort shit. Or you put a loaded shotgun in your mouth whenever it makes you play the fucking material extract level. It feels weird trying to like critically analyze a multiplayer shooter, so I'm just not gonna. Also, pedophiles are playing as this character and are trying to make contact with children, so report them whenever you see them. Okay, fucking lightning round over. There's no more games. 2025 was like actual abysmal fucking dog shit. Holy fuck. So anyway, speaking of slop that came out last year, Metroid Prime 4. It fucking sucks. Did I play it? No. But Mr. Corner, how can you tell this game sucks if you didn't play it? Well, little Jimmy, if you enhance the image, I'll show you how you can tell. If only there were cool 2D Metroid-like games to play. Oh, wait a minute. I remembered. I haven't played the majority of the second half of the word Metroidvania. How could I have been so stupid? First on the docket, we have the game that I probably have the most history with, being Symphony of the Night. I haven't played this game since the Requiem release for PS4 back in 2018, which is, holy shit, Holy fucking shit, that's 8 years ago. God damn, I feel old. I already liked this game to begin with, so no surprises, I'm still into it. For those unfamiliar with Symphony, it follows up another game, being Rondo of Blood, which it's direct sequel. Which, interestingly enough, I find it funny at this point in the series, it's the second time a direct sequel has had a radical change in game design. Although, unlike Simon's Quest, this game is actually good. Alucard, the guy you never played as in 3, returns after his 300-year power nap, and he's here to kick Richter's ass for trying to use his squatter rights in Castlevania. Unfortunately for Richter, this game takes place in Europe, so he's really just a homeless guy in all reality. And also, because they're in Europe, unfortunately Richter becomes yet another victim of knife crime statistics. That is, if you don't go out of your way to explore the castle and find the real villain behind this plot. Oh, shit, I'm sorry, I meant Shaft. I don't know what came over me there. This plot summary is going on a little bit too long for my liking. So basically, Shaft's an asshole, summons the inverted castle, Alucard runs through, kills some more people, and yeah, Dracula is Bacula, and Alucard holds up a shield. And Dracula is so amazed by these tactics that he fucks off for like another 100 years. And depending on your ending, Alucard gets with his underage girlfriend. Don't worry, it's fine, he's European. The game itself takes inspiration from the Metroid series, and also apparently leaked to the past according to Igarashi. The stage-to-stage design is gone from the classic Vania games, and in its place is a giant castle map that you explore through and collect upgrades to progress through. Collecting upgrades and getting stronger is one of my favorite things in these types of games. The sense of progression tickles my brain and makes me feel like I'm actually doing something productive, even though I'm not. Alucard uses 50 million types of weapons in this game, and there's so many to experiment with. There's also certain inputs you can use to get some extra versatility out of these weapons. Not every weapon has one, but it's usually just a Hadouken motion plus an attack. For example, using the Alucard sword with this lets you warp around and attack people. Some might say this makes the game feel unfocused, but I really love the versatility and ability to try new things out to spice up new playthroughs. Map design in this game is pretty good in my opinion, with the only real problem being Alucard's notably slow movement speed. But this can be aided if you know how to do the shield dash in this game. But even then, I would say that's a borderline design flaw that's just made up for with another borderline design flaw. The speed and mobility problem gets really tiring in my opinion in the last section of this game, being the inverted castle. While I don't hate it as much as others, I have to admit it's a pretty blatant attempt to pad the game, although some of the bosses are cool, but this game definitely could have done without it. Traversing in the inverted castle is real annoying, especially if you miss the gravity boots in the normal castle. Even with the inverted castle, this is probably still my favorite Igavania. Wow, I can't believe it, the white YouTube guy likes Symphony of the Night? That's shocking. But it's true, I do love this game. I had to put a muzzle on myself because if I didn't, this section could easily be 30 minutes long. And shit, I haven't even talked about the soundtrack. Holy fucking shit. Great soundtrack as always for any of these Castlevania games. Get used to hearing that. After playing Symphony again, I decided I wanted to dive into the rest of the Metroidvania entries of this series. So obviously, I had to play the next one, of course being Aria of Sorrow. Aria follows Soma Cruz, the most American-sounding Japanese name I've ever heard, but that's besides the point. This game is set off in the far-off future of 2035, which is... Wait, only 9 years away. God fucking damn it. Castlevania has returned, and Soma and these other assholes have been teleported to the castle. Soma must fight his way through because, not Alucard. He's definitely not Alucard. He's not Alucard. Stop saying that he's Alucard. He's not. Okay, I guess he's Alucard. Anyway, it's because Alucard told him so, okay? Aria is extremely similar to Symphony. You have a gaggle of weapons and ability to possess. Soma also has the power of dominance, meaning he can steal the souls of enemies to gain their powers.
Now I've got your power.
This is the main gimmick of Aria, and what I can say is it's pretty fun. Your sub-weapons have been replaced with these. This is a fun system and adds a bunch of possibilities outside of basic weapons, although I'm very guilty of just using normal weapons anyway. You also get a bunch of movement abilities, like the bat, which is now a soul instead of like the orb thing that you get in Symphony. One thing I deeply respect about this game is it really values your time. This is not a long game at all. It is 3 to 4 hours. This is obviously because it's on a handheld, but this leads to a castle that's extremely tightly designed. Going across the entire castle takes less time than Symphony. It also helps that Soma's got a little bit more pep to his step than Alucard did in Symphony. My only big complaint with this game is it's really easy and borderline brain dead at times, until you get to death, in which case he fucking bitch slaps you. And then after you kill him, it's suddenly not really that hard until you get to the end. But even then, it's nothing some item spamming can't get through. Oh yeah, since this section feels short, I want to talk about my favorite big dick Belmont, Julius. You get to play as him after you beat the game, and god motherfucking damn does this dude stand on business. This is the guy who finally killed Dracula back in 1999, and oh my god, do you feel it. Like, he shreds through anything you put in front of him. Like, this motherfucker has an uppercut that just sends him flying. And if you accidentally hit the ceiling with this uppercut, it fucking shakes the entire castle. God damn. The Belmonts must have been eating their fucking Wheaties. Where's this guy's game? Oh, wait a minute. A new Castlevania has been announced? Oh boy. We're retreading on Castlevania 3 again? Wow. Konami. You shouldn't have. While Aria is not my favorite Igavania, it's probably my second favorite, and it's a damn fine game, and you should play it if you haven't. It fucking sucks.
You shall die.
So you're the one that was endangering the town.
Scum.
What?
Hey, you can't cook me out. I'll show you. You just wait and see.
I'm a big fan of FromSlop, and just from the Soul series and Elden Ring, I put around hours into them. But this ain't it, Chief. Don't get me wrong. At first, it was fun to go through the game for a bit and soy out at seeing the Nameless King again. But the novelty wears off quickly, and you're left with a very boring extraction whatever game. After figuring out an optimal route through Limvale, the game just becomes, land near encampments, go to tunnels to get upgrade items, go back to encampments or Everjails, go to center before a storm cuts it off, lose to Night Lord, repeat until you win. I wouldn't per se mind this loop too much if the gameplay wasn't brain dead, but this game takes the roll attack thing to the next level because it's the entirety of the game. There is no world to explore, no interesting builds, no secrets or anything to uncover, just sprint and wall jump to the next fight. If you like boring shit like Elden Ring co-op, then this may be for you. I will also personally send skeletons to your house to throw bones at you every time you go outside. I personally don't like to talk about these games because of the typical crowd they attract. I mostly stay away from it all. However, I'll make an exception because you'll have to get through a good chunk of this video before you see my opinions about them. And I've sent armored fleamen to personally assassinate you. I have to say, Toby Fox did it again. Chapter 3 remains consistently well written, incredible music, and still has the interesting gameplay of prior chapters. All the new characters added in Chapter 3 are really good. The TV world is a fun aside from the slightly more serious stakes of Episode 2. There are less battles in this chapter than 1 or 2. Mainly because this game's taken up by a really good Zelda clone. I probably spent 60% of my time in this chapter just playing that section. I appreciate that there are faster ways to solve some of the sections for repeat playthroughs. The 10-up boss fight is also a highlight. The WarioWare minigames are really fun and add a lot of chaos to the scenario. It was the thing I looked forward to the most on my replays of the chapter. Hot take, the Black Knight is not a hard fight. Also, I want to have sex with the Weather Girl. This chapter slows things down and gives you a chance to finally explore the town again. It's really nice to catch up with some of these NPCs like they're old friends I haven't seen in years. The section at Noelle's house, really in both versions, give a lot of insight into her character. Anyway, it's great to see Asgore again, even if he has some dark revelations. This chapter plays more like the first two did. It features a lot more standard battling, befriending, or beheading. This has to be my favorite location we've been to so far. Using a church adds so much atmosphere, creating a beautiful yet ominous vibe. Out of the two chapters, the music in this one has to be my favorite hands down. Chapter 4 is mostly a build up for what's next. I won't discuss the plot much, however, I really like where the story's headed. As long as Toby keeps making the chapters consistently this good, I will be along for the ride until the end. If you're even remotely interested, I think they're worth trying. Just don't talk to me about it. That sums it up. By this point, I would say outside of co-op, Konami has done everything possible in the Metroidvania style, especially in this engine. This game, in a strange way, is much more of a return to form. Mostly, Order of Ecclesia is a very linear game, going from level to level similar to the old games. 75% of this game takes place in the surrounding areas outside of the castle, which I kinda like because it isn't something commonly done in the series. Each level has its own map and occasionally multiple exits. It's basically a section from Dracula's castle, just removed from the castle itself. I like most of the areas in this game, but even I'll say the world design is one of the weakest aspects about Order of Ecclesia. No matter how hard Konami tries, they will never beat the castle designs of Symphony and Aria. So I'm glad they didn't even try to do that for Order of Ecclesia. Instead, the focus turned to Shinoa's gameplay and moveset, which is the real thing that shines about this game. While the level design is more basic compared to the other Igavanias, it doesn't mean it's bad. Getting to see the world outside of the castle is always a rare sight to see in these games, and Order of Ecclesia does not disappoint with that. These areas are very visually distinct from what we usually see inside the castle. Order of Ecclesia also leverages its linearity effectively. This game is definitely more challenging than the other Igavanias due to that. Each level is perfectly constructed for what Shinoa has access to, creating decently challenging but fair levels. This gets into another mechanic that I'm more so mixed about. Order of Ecclesia is the first Castlevania game that features sort of a recurring hub. During the beginning of your adventure, Shinoa finds a village that has all of its villagers abducted. While questing out from here, you may find villagers to free. Once freed, they will return to the village and most will act as a vendor for your travels. Once you get the main shopkeeper, you can also buy magical tickets that will let you instantly teleport back to the village. One of the things I have issues about this system is that most of the stuff the villagers sell is pointless garbage. Either you'll get it as a random drop or find it in a chest. Don't get me wrong, the other thing is the tickets. They're pretty useful at the cost of having to replay a section of the level again, but it takes away a lot of the challenge late game. By that time, I had so much money and max tickets that unless Shinoa was instantly killed, I could never die because I was always one menu away from safety. Another thing that's pretty dumb is the only way to access Dracula's castle at the end of the game is to free all the villagers. Otherwise, you'll get the bad ending. Due to plot, Shinoa is a sorceress, and similar to Mega Man, can steal and use the powers of her foes. Unlike Soma Cruz, this is more tied to gameplay rather than randomly getting it. Sometimes it does just randomly appear though. These glyphs are pretty much the sub-weapons or red souls of the previous games, except it's your main moveset now. Each of Shinoa's arms can use different glyphs, so it allows you to mix and match them to your liking. This gets into another thing I really like about this game, which is the combo system. But it was really fun to try to get the timings down on the glyphs to try to chain them together to shred enemies or bosses. All glyphs feel pretty good to use, but I found one or two that worked for most situations, so I usually stuck to those. Alright, I'll get into it. What everyone talks about. How much of a letdown Dracula's castle is in this game. By the time you get to the castle, Shinoa's pretty much at max strength, so there really isn't much of a reason to explore. It's just not as bad as people make it out to be online. Most of this game takes place outside of the castle, so this feels like a victory lap before fighting Dracula. Speaking about him, god damn does he want your ass dead in this game. I don't think I've ever seen him throw hands like this. Order of Ecclesia, plot-wise, is pretty removed from the rest of the series. Everyone's just kind of doing their own shit to stop or resurrect Dracula in the absence of the Belmonts. I kind of appreciate that this game is so self-contained though, even if it's not good. I give the plot a Red Virgil 3 out of 5. Jokes aside, this game is my favorite out of the DS collection.
You have Uno, you fucking dick! I don't have it, you fucking monster! You have Uno!
Since it appears that I'm out of Igavanias to talk about, why don't I talk about some of the classic Vanias? First off, my personal favorite, Rondo of Blood. I'm going 2 for 2 with the, of course that's your favorite fucking Castlevania. But I don't know, dude. This game's just good. This game follows Richter Belmont and his quest to fight Dracula. That's it. I love not having to do a Nostalgia Critic summary of this game's fucking story. Richter's got all the classic Belmont trimmings, including whipping, jumping, and throwing hydrochloric acid at skeletons. He's also got this little backflip, which I swear has a mind of its own on whether or not it actually goes off whenever I mash the fucking jump button. Oh yeah, he's also got item crashes for each sub-weapon, most of which just being some form of screen nuke. Oh yeah, there's also Maria. She's the unlockable character and serves as this game's easy mode. She uses the power of Chinese mythology. She throws birds, 2 at a time, which attack way faster and more efficient than Richter's whip. She's also more mobile, having a double jump and a slide maneuver thing. You can break levels with her, but I tend not to play with her just because I prefer the typical Castlevania movement set with Richter. What makes Rondo so good to me is its pacing and tight level design. Nothing in this game overstays its welcome in my opinion. It helps that this game is only like 7 stages long, not counting bonus levels and the final battle with Dracula. This game also in some cases sports multiple pathways, which I find interesting isn't more of a thing in other Classicvanias. Not that it doesn't exist, but this game is just swimming with them. Some even lead you to the alternate stages which I mentioned before, which can spice up your playthrough. You also need all of them to rescue all the maidens, but unfortunately this is an anti-Foid channel, so we don't rescue them in this household. The bosses in this game in my opinion are the perfect mix of challenge and not being complete horseshit happy slaps and hope you kill them. Dracula is also a complete pushover in this game. Like, it might as well be the same one you fight from the Symphony opening, because this guy is fucking nothing. It wouldn't be a review of Rondo of Blood without completely soying out about the soundtrack. And yeah, if you're familiar with this game at all, you know the music's pretty great. I will say, not all of the original tracks I like, but I gotta say, Divine Bloodlines, that's a certified drunk driving playlist must. If you haven't already played Rondo, play it. But chances are, if you're into these games, you've probably played it.
Wait, who's this? Fred Fox? Fred Fox? Fred Fox? Fred Fox! Oh my god, Fred Fox!
The final Castlevania I want to talk about is Super Castlevania 4. I had played this game before but never finished it. As a remake of the original story, it's just like, man, fuck Dracula, just kill his ass. This game brings a new control set to Simon's original moveset from Castlevania 1. He has finally conquered his rigor mortis and can now whip in 8 directions. I see a lot of boomers saying that's the reason why this game is the best one, and I just have to say, you're all fucking stupid. That's like playing Mega Man and complaining the Mega Man series is bad because you can't shoot in multiple directions. Like, that's just how the games were made. Oh yeah, Simon can control himself in midair after jumping in this game, which I know sounds super useful, but to be honest with you, the game is designed around you having it. And plus, I don't know, it's just kind of a Castlevania game. Most of the time, if you're not already clearing the way that you're going to jump, there's not much that's going to save you. I can't think of many times that having midair control actually saved me. Alongside that, you can now swing from the ceiling at certain points with your whip, which is fun, until you get to the clock tower, in which case it can kiss my fucking ass. Instead of starting out at the castle gate like you do in many other Castlevania games, you get to walk your way there, because I guess Simon's a fucking fat ass in this game and needs to get his fucking steps in. I will say, I like all the stages leading up to the castle in this game, those are pretty fun, but I would say once you actually like enter the castle itself, I feel like this game starts to drag. The drag kind of starts around the library and like the little goon cave level. I would only say that it picks back up around the treasury room / the clock tower. This is the main reason that I actually prefer Rondo over this game, because I would say that this game feels a little bit long in the tooth. I feel like there's a lot of unnecessary stages in my opinion, where it's just sort of like you go through, the boss isn't very hard, and it's just like, why is this stage here? This game looks great, especially for a launch window SNES game, but unfortunately it does tend to lag because there's too many fucking skeletons throwing fucking femurs at the screen. Bosses in this game feel like a step down to me, even compared to previous Castlevanias and not taking Rondo into account. Most of them really come down to just hit the guy more times before he kills you, which yeah, to be fair, that is how a boss works, no shit, but 90% of this game's bosses are just fucking happy slaps till you win. I only complain because the last couple of bosses are actually the exact opposite. These are legitimate challenges that require good positioning and knowing your moveset and how to properly use it against the boss versus like fucking Axe Knight from the middle of the game. Like, look at this fucking moveset and tell me this guy has a fucking soul. Oh yeah, they vocalized the fucking Medusa. Where's her big fat ass? Fuck you, Igarashi! I love the art direction in this game. It uses the SNES's new power to create a surprisingly effective horror atmosphere that feels like a genuine evolution of what the NES games were going for. I know we're all fucking tired of hearing it at this point, but this game's soundtrack is great. I really like how it adds to the atmosphere that I mentioned before, and creates a somewhat cinematic vibe for this game. Yeah, that's about all I got for Super Castlevania 4, but I do just want to say, its fucking boss scares me. Why would they do that? Why would they fucking do that, man? Anyway, time for the actual game of the year. If 2025 was actually 1994.
Try to stay low in them turns. You're all over the track. Hey, you're off the track. Are you alright? Let's see some control.
My personal favorite game this year was Day Motherfucking Tona. I'm surprisingly not a big racing game guy outside of kart races, but those don't count because they have like Ryan's Toy World in those games. The story of Daytona follows the Hornet, which wins races with the amazing technique of being really fucking fast. Daytona 1 was released in 1994 based off of Sega's previous 3D racing game, Virtual Racing, but now it's souped up with NASA space-age technology. No, I'm not joking, look that shit up. The game was produced by Yu Suzuki of Outrun and Hang On fame, and like 13 other million arcade games, seeing as this guy was Sega's workhorse at the time pretty much, at least in the arcade department. Also working on this game is famous monkey ball man, Nagoshi. NASCAR was the basis of this game, although it's not called NASCAR because Sega said nuts to paying the NASCAR license. We're like, fuck it, give me the name of the racetrack instead. The funnier part of them having the Daytona name is that technically the actual Daytona 500 is not in this game. The main course of this game is the 37 Speedway, which is technically based off the Daytona racetrack. Except, this one has Sonic in it, so it's way fucking cooler. On the topic of the game itself, you drive the Hornet with no other selectable cars, which is fine in my personal opinion. I'd rather have one car that controls well versus, let's just say, a bunch of cars that have different handling that maybe I don't like how they control. And control well this car does. My favorite thing about Daytona is the mix of realistic driving with arcadey controls. If you want to get technical, I say realistic, but stock car racing as seen in NASCAR really would play nothing like this at all. Daytona is all about drifting around turns, even in the track that's most similar to the actual Daytona. There's a sharp turn at the Sonic Mountain that requires drifting unless you want to be a fucking pussy bitch and brake like a coward. Originally, during the design stages of this game, they were going to make it more realistic by having cars be only automatic, and that's technically closer to how stock cars work, but everyone on staff was like, nah, fuck that, and I personally second that decision. This is because the automatic car in this game sucks. Don't use it. The entire game is built around the drifting system, and the automatic car has no way to actually control its drift. You just sort of brake and start power sliding and hope for the best. It's like playing Mario Kart, but you intentionally don't use the drift button and use the brake instead. So just don't do it. The real fun of this game lies in the manual transmission. Manually shifting gears in this game is so fun. For 1994 standards, the way the gear system works in this game is quite impressive, as in most games at this point, it was just a speed threshold toggle type thing. It is in this game, to be fair, but also, the way that your car slides out is directly controlled by this. For wide turns, it's better to use a 4-1-3-4 drift, and for smaller, more slight turns, you can get away with using a 4-2-4 drift, which is less controllable, with the benefit of you maintaining your speed as you go through. It's so fun timing going in and out of drifts in this game, especially if you have one of those force feedback wheels that really just fights you while you do it. If you have the ability to, get a proper wheel and gear shifter, because it's the greatest experience of all time sitting in your underwear pretending to do some initial D shit with these games. I mentioned one of them before, but this game features 3 tracks, being the beginner, advanced, and expert tracks. As mentioned before, the beginner track, or 37 Speedway, is your basic oval type track, with a sharp turn at the Sonic Mountain. You can also pit skip in most of these tracks. Pit skipping is using the pit stop mechanic, which isn't really useful unless you're playing on like endurance mode with tire degradation, but in Daytona 1 you can kind of just drive past it without hitting the trigger point, so you just skip a little bit of the track. But it's pretty precise to do, and most of the time if you're racing someone else it's not that useful. It's mainly just useful in the time trial mode, ironically enough, but I feel like this course is actually a little bit harder than the next course, which is the advanced course. The advanced course, which is Dinosaur Canyon, is my personal favorite track from this game, as there's a bunch of fun turns in this one, with the biggest being behind the finish line. This is when Daytona becomes Heisenberg and slaps you in the face if you're a filthy automatic player. Drifting is essential in this course, unless you want to lose your sponsors. The final track of this game is the expert course, Seaside Galaxy. Why is it called Galaxy? I don't know. That's just what the Dreamcast announcer says. Don't kill the messenger here. And with it being called the expert course, it lives up to the name, as this track has winding roads, plenty of hills, and more sharp turns than you can count. Fear not though, with proper drifting and occasional use of the coward pedal, you'll figure out this course in no time. Although I will say, this last turn is just an enigma, and I have no idea how to do it. I can never get it consistent. But it's not a good Daytona race if the Hornet doesn't have a couple of battle scars by the end of the race. One of my favorite things about this track is the victory animation, where Sega kinda acknowledges, yeah, there's no way stock cars should be able to drive through the fucking Bay Area, as you see your competitors doing their best Dale Earnhardt impressions as the Hornet drives through triumphantly. I'd be remiss to talk about Daytona 1 without mentioning its stellar soundtrack, composed and most importantly, sung by Takanobu Mitsuyoshi. In my opinion, the music of this game is like a glue that seals this entire game together. I couldn't imagine this game without speeding through the beginning of 3-7 Speedway, without hearing Rolling Star. Every track complements the stage that it's in perfectly, and it really gets you in the mood to defeat every single car in front of you by crashing into them repeatedly. It's a scientific fact that your car gains more horsepower if you sing along to the soundtrack, so do that if you want to get the fastest times possible. But yeah, that's Daytona, my favorite game of the year. If you haven't played it, give it a play.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Did you really think I'd go a year without reviewing these? How does this go? Oh yeah, another year, another porn game. This time I have...
I said, baby, I don't care what you say. I just looked at you and I just wanna pass you on by. Feeling is getting harder and harder. See what you see, what you think, what happens. The world goes crazy. Everything seems to get boring and lazy. When you get to realize what time can bring, then you can get down and do your own thing.
For anyone who hasn't seen my rants reviews, here's my obligatory rants starter. Now that we got that out of the way, Rants 01 is the remake of the original Rants Quest for Ikari, made for the PC-98 in 1989. In the far future of September 27, 2013, Rants 01 features the same-ish story but has extensive gameplay changes that makes it play completely differently. The original was a dungeon crawler with really basic turn-based combat and dungeons. It didn't really have much in terms of depth, since it was more about the porn. The remake changes a lot while still being incredibly faithful to the first game. Starting with the story, Rance is an adventurer tasked by the Keith Guild to locate a missing woman named Hikari in the capital of the country of Lysis. One of the things I really love about this series is the world building and how seamlessly diegetic it is to gameplay. Due to Rants 01 being a modern retelling of the first game, it has a lot of content from future games to allude to and flesh out the really basic story of the OG game into something that feels more connected into what the later games would be. Let's get into gameplay. Surprisingly, the overall core of the OG game is kept, but it's much more streamlined. When Rance arrives at Lysis, he and his companion Syl, a long story, decide the best course of action to find more information is to split up. Syl enrolls at the same school that Hikari went to before she went missing, and Rance decides to stay at a Japanese hotel. Yes, Japan exists in the Rance games. And somehow, he convinces the owner to let him stay for free for pretty much as long as he wants. This is going to be your base of operations. From here on out, you're going to have to use your time carefully to find more clues, gather resources, and explore. Which isn't too far off from how the original did things, just less. The combat is much more arcadey than the original. Instead of trying to remake it, they opt for a much more interesting system. Like Kingdom Hearts' Chain of Memories, equipment and items are all represented by cards, poker chips, and each have properties when betted in battle. Rants can only carry a few chips at the start of the game, but this number increases as you progress. Even still, you'll have to be careful about what chips you bring where. Just like Rants 5D, or my favorite video game JRPG series, Persona 5. This game has a time-based system for days. Every action you make will change the time of the day, so it's important to make the most of it while you can. Speaking about that, sticking with the casino theming, exploration is done with cards. It's pretty self-explanatory by looking at the screen. As you progress, you can see a bit of the path ahead of you to plan your next step. And battles aren't random either, though you can get trapped by being greedy for pickups. Some areas are only accessible by going through another first. Think of it like moving down through layers. Though the challenge is, in order to get back, you'll need to head back through the layers you came from. So obviously the further you go, the harder it is for you to get back to the hotel and save. To complicate things further, exploring also uses a lot of your time. If it rolls over to the next day while you're still out, Rants will get hit with an exhaustion debuff that's pretty much a death sentence in battle. Rants 1, in my opinion, is the definitive version of Rants Quest for Ikari. It modernizes the original into an extremely addicting experience. Its more arcadey nature allows the game to be more inviting for people new to the series to pick up. It also achieves the hard balance of somehow simplifying the already basic gameplay of the PC-98 game, while retaining true to the core. It's one of those rare examples of the remake being better than the original. As usual with the Rant series, this game has really good gameplay and an extremely funny script behind the veneer of being a porn game. It's unironically the best starting place for those looking to get into the series without having to play an old PC-98 game that may or may not be translated very well. And with the remakes of 2 and 3 out, there's plenty more modern Rants to play until 4. If this game looks interesting, be sure to check it out on Manga Gamer with my link or Steam before it gets banned.
Hydro Storm! No problem, Puyo Puyo porn RPG guy.
Thank you for putting a stop to that Twin Snakes loving queer. Well, guess I better head back and play more Slut Hunters.